Hey everyone, welcome to the weekly update. There's a lot of new stuff here at Fishy Business. You always hear me say that, but there always is. This is the time of year when we get in all the product that will go on for the rest of the season, or basically the rest of the year. So tanks are coming in, lots of different dry goods are coming in, and fish availability is really good right now. So I'm going to take you through the saltwater and freshwater in just a second. First thing I want to mention though is the LED Coral Life BioCube, the 32 BioCube. The reason I want to mention it is because we're giving one away. A complete setup actually, less the stand. But it will have the tank, the rock, the water, your sand, everything for a basic kit for setting up a small little saltwater and or freshwater tank in your living room. So if you want to do a really cool package underneath a Christmas tree for someone, you can easily win this. If you want it for yourself, if you want it for a quarantine tank, what you need to do is come in any day in October. Every single time you come in, it's one entry per visit, but we will have some coupons up front. You just simply fill it out, drop it in the hat, and we're going to do the drawing on Halloween. So this is our first giveaway of the last quarter of the year. We will be doing one in November and in December. So there you go, we're back to the giveaways. Let's get on to the update. Just because we have not had it in a little while, because we keep selling them, a brand new coastal came in this week. Just want to show you this real quick. This is a coastal stand and canopy. It is our most popular stand and canopy. It is this particular one will fit a 75 gallon, a 90 gallon, or a 110 gallon. So there's three different types of tanks that will work with this stand and canopy, but it's beautiful. It's got a nice deck height, so you can just walk right up on it in a room, and it presents itself really well. And if that coastal wasn't good enough, I've got one twice the size over here for a 180, and I still have a 180 with overflows. So with tank availability being so difficult right now, hopefully that's going to change in the next week or two. But for right now, we've just gotten in a bunch of new tanks, and these are two of the new stands and canopies in the format that people seem to most love. Okay, so this week, since Reagan isn't with us, I'm going to do both the salt and freshwater, like in the old days when we were just starting out with all this stuff. But this time I'm going to switch it around, so I'm going to start with the saltwater, and let's get going. So last night we had a customer bring us this little guy that's not so little. This is one of the coolest species of Gymnothorax morays that there is. This is the tessellata moray. This one, believe it or not, is bigger than Tess. You can already see the full yellow sheen all the way on the back. The colors are really phenomenal, and it is a first come, first serve to find it a good home. Now, this is a highly aggressive eel, but it is probably one of the most beautiful eels we have in the hobby. Highly desired. This one was tank raised from a baby, and when it outgrew its tank, we got it back last night. So we want to find it a good home. If you want a truly beautiful moray eel that's worth having a tank just by itself, the tessellata moray or the leopard moray is the one to have. While I am not a big proponent of keeping butterflies in tanks really much at all, sometimes we will stock the copper band and the raccoon, and this particular raccoon came in and is eating purple seaweed. So this butterfly has a decent chance. Now, they're not reef safe. Butterflies will absolutely ravage mushrooms in your tank, but they can come in and be hardy sometime, and this particular specimen has been doing very well since it just came in the other day. So wanted to show this. Okay, we got a school of Carberry Anthias. Anthias do really well for us, or a lot of them do anyway. And in schools, they really look great in reef tanks, in really any tanks, but in a tank where they can be fed pretty heavy, mysis and things like that they're used to in heavy plankton-rich waters in the wild, Anthias can be beautiful. They can be intermixed. Most fish don't mess with them, and they don't really mess with anything. So peaceful fish that you can have a lot of, that each have the most beautiful pastel colors. This may be a species of Anthias you definitely want to check out. Reasonably priced, you can get a couple. They're not going to take too much space in your tank. Tiger Queen Anthias, which are a little bit trickier and a little bit smaller species of Anthias, can be very beautiful as well. As long as you get them put in the tank and get them eating, they can do really well. And we got a nice school of them this week. Okay, the Foxface is one of my top 5 fish that you can have in a saltwater aquarium, both for hardiness, long livability, and just the general hardiness and beauty of the fish in the first place. It's not too often that we get these bicolors. They come from Fiji, and this is a different variant of a color scheme of Foxface. The bicolored Fiji Foxface, we have 2 of them this week. They came in looking beautiful. They'll almost always come in eating right away. Great fish for any tank. Okay, so we got a Picasso trigger and a clown trigger this week. Obviously not reef safe, but if you have a fish only system or you want some pretty fish to go in a tank, these are wonderful. They typically are very hardy. As you can see, these have good weight even for young specimens. They're a lot cheaper at this size, and you can grow them up, and they make a phenomenally beautiful fish. We got in 2 purple tangs yesterday. One of them already sold, but I've got this one. And as most of you know in the hobby, or maybe don't know, this is probably one of the hardiest tangs you can buy. They are not super cheap. They come from the Red Sea in Egypt, but they are extremely hardy, they're extremely long-lived, and they are a beautiful, beautiful fish. If you're gonna put money into a fish, this is a great one for a very low risk factor for a very high reward. Okay, so we got in a couple mandarin dragonets. These are a very, very popular fish that usually sell out the first few days that we have them, but I've got them right now. Nobody got any yesterday, and they just came in. If you have copepods or don't mind putting them in your tank, this is a fish that can thrive now in the hobby. It used to be a long time ago that they would just kind of slowly starve because of a lack of a food source, but the hobby today in the last 10 to 15 years easily provides tons of foods where they can live a very long life in a nice reef tank, and I don't think there's more color you can find on a fish than in the dragonets. A dusky wrasse came in yesterday. We have not had one of these in a very long time. It's a beautiful chorus wrasse. Different color morph. There's a little diamond goby sticking its head out the back. The dusky wrasse, for the very, very short time that it's been in here, is staying out, hunting for food, as you can see this morning, and I just turned the lights on. Great fish. Okay, in this tank we've got a couple little fish swimming around. There is the purple firefish, which we got one in. Great fish, does very well, super, super peaceful. It's more wrasse that you can kind of see swimming around in the back. And somewhere in here that just made an appearance was a tiny little green clown goby, which will hopefully pop its head back up before we walk away, but it doesn't look like it's going to, so you'll have to come in and see it. As you can see on the glass this morning, they weren't ready for me to turn their lights on, but we got in tons of Necerius snails yesterday. These are fantastic snails for stirring up the sand, keeping it well oxygenated. They will readily come out for food, and it's really cool that you can kind of see the whole ground erupt. If they weren't already out, I would show you, but you can put a tiny little bit of food in the tank and your sand will start moving around and all of a sudden erupt with all these snails coming up to eat. So this is a good snail that a lot of people don't know about that's good to have in the tank as just part of your cleanup crew and a great oxygenator for the sand. These little space aliens are called arrow crabs. I like to show them whenever we get them in. You can see these are fairly ornate. They have like little feathers on their feet and things like that. Arrow crabs are great for hunting bristleworms and things like that. They're also a great conversation piece when they come out. If the tank has been set up for a while, they can be very hardy as well. They're very inexpensive, a great conversation piece, and a cool little invertebrate to have in a tank. One of the coolest blennies is the golden Midas blenny. This is a hardy blenny, very much a Dr. Seuss character. Hops kind of from rock to rock, kind of hunting around for food. You can see it kind of perching on the outlet right there. Very beautiful, peaceful little fish, a lot of personality, very inexpensive, doesn't take up a lot of room, and if you've got one of those tanks that's really packed with a lot of things and you don't think you can add another fish, this is one that won't put a heavy load on your tank. Very personable and kind of neat to have. Alright, so this guy is awesome. Kevin managed to get a hold of a Burmese tire track eel. This thing, even to look at the scales on its body, look like a snake. It is a very, very cool eel. To get one at this size with this kind of patterns and markings is just phenomenal. To say it's a conversation piece would be an understated statement. This is a really, really cool eel. Different, and I've got one, and it is a one of a kind. Only because I don't have them too terribly often, and I've got them right now. I got a really decent size elephant nose. It came in, it's very relaxed, it's doing really well. I only got one of these this week as well, just because of trying to get the best specimen that I could. But if you're in the market for some oddities in your freshwater tank, or you have a little bit of room, this is a great week for it. Pound loaches have been a little scarce in the last week or so, or last couple weeks rather. And I just got in a nice little batch yesterday. These are the perfect size to go in almost any aquarium. Clown loaches are great for removing troublesome snails that kind of come on your live plants and things like that. They're great because they kind of hover and school together. They really don't mess with anything, nothing really messes with them, and they add a lot of color to the bottom of the tank. Rope fish are back in stock, and as you can see, there is a very little tire track eel amongst them kind of moving around. Rope fish, when we get them, they almost sell out every week, and we don't have them but every now and again when we know we can get healthy specimens. So these are a fish. They're super escape artists, but they tend to not bother too many things as long as they can't completely engulf them. They're great together, and they're a great conversation piece and something a little different. Last eel I'm going to show you this week is a zigzag eel, and you can see that the markings are completely different, but again, if you like oddballs, we just got so many really cool fish this week that I had to show you some of the different things. Okay, something that I can't really say I've seen, we might have had it in the past, are these veil tail cherry barbs. They're really cool. Cherry barbs will go with almost any community tank or any communal fish. They are not like most barbs that are fin nippers, and they have a lot of color for their size, and these ornate fins are something new to me and different on this particular fish. So noticing them for the first time, I wanted to show them in the video. A little school of these in almost any community tank would be great. Cherry barbs are incredibly hardy fish. They're fairly long-lived, and these are some very ornate specimens. For your dwarf cichlids, I got in a nice assortment of crevinsas. I don't always have these. This is a type of cichlid that will live with a lot of different types of fish. They typically will make a little hollow on the bottom of the tank somewhere where they will kind of group together. They are they're definitely safe in a semi-aggressive tank, and depending on the community tank you have, I have even had really good luck with them in service, living with community fish. From a standpoint of breeding, they are fairly easy to get to breed if you have a nice group of them. So this is a little different fish, a little different cichlid to add a little touch maybe to what you have. And I've got them this week. All right, a cool little fish if you have a nano tank, these stone catfish. There are a ton of markings. Thank you, Mr. Pleco, for getting them to move. I was just thinking about that. These stone catfish are really, really, really cool catfish to have in a small tank. They do not get very big. They have lots of different markings on, and every one of them is a little bit different, but they are really a cool statement maker as they look like little stones littered on the bottom of the tank. I think I got a group of about 12 of these in yesterday, but definitely wanted to show you because they are really, really cool. I love showing the rams when we have them in stock and they're doing really well. These German blue rams people ask about often. Dwarf cichlid, they really do need kind of their own environment or to share it with very few fish. But if you have a small tank or a really cool environment for them, they can really put on a show, and they're a great fish. Okay, as beautiful as they come for a freshwater fish, large electric blue ollies came in this week, and every one is as pretty as the one right next to it. Kevin's really been doing a great job upping our peacock selection, just because we're trying to populate our large tank in front of the store as we're kind of changing that out. What that means for you is that while we're looking for top specimens, we're also getting them for you as well. And this is just a small sampling of the peacocks we have in right now. If you want color for a freshwater tank and you can dedicate a tank to having peacocks, man, you cannot do better than what we have right now. And these blue ollies are just a small selection of why that is. All right, you remember the video from last week? This guy was in the exact same position. That was 1 week ago. This week, he's still in his position, ready to go. If you want a really cool electric blue crayfish, this is the prettiest one I've had in a long time. Rounding off Kevin's must-have fish for the week is the platinum white crown-tail beta. Very, very beautiful beta that came in. And we have, I think, 2, maybe 3 of them. Also want to show you really quick this Dumbo half moon that came in, just because it's showing off right now and it's early in the morning and it got my attention. Last but not least, we have our final shipment of koi for the season. We probably won't be getting any more toward the end of the year, so this is a great time. If you have room in your pond, this is a good time. We've got beautiful specimens, more than what you see here, but it is the time to kind of get them in the pond and get them ready before winter comes. Okay, finishing back where we started at the BioCubes. That's the weekly update for the week. We will have an episode of The Grind that is going to pop out on Saturday this week, and we'll be back with some new things next week. Remember, starting tomorrow, Friday, October the 1st, you come in, if you mention that you saw this on the video, let's get you entered in to win the BioCube. Not a lot of people take advantage of this, so the last couple drawings we've had back when we were doing giveaways, there wasn't a healthy amount of competition, so each time you come in, get registered for a BioCube, because even if you don't need it, it might make a great Christmas gift. Have a great week, and I will see you back here next week.